Hey everyone, this is PC from Paula's Purse, where the bag is always filled with topics to discuss. I wanted to come on and answer a grab bag question that a couple of you have been asking me, right? You've been asking me, who is Tasha? I wanted to come on here and explain who Tasha is and why I dropped her name. Good morning. Good morning to everybody as well. Uh, Tasha, when I was put out of my house, remember, my house was stolen from me by a company called Angel Properties. Lloyd Preston, Julian Preston, Marsha Clark, and the guy who now owns my home is Anthony Flanoy II. Okay, remember those names because you want to stay away from those people. Not so much the person that bought the home, but I'm sure he was in on the deal as well. But I was put out of my home September 25th of 2023. I called my good friend Jeremiah. Um, I've known him since 2017. I ran his trucking company back then. Most of you know Jeremiah as Johnny Binder, right? From the streets, big time dope dealer back in the day. Okay, so Jeremiah, or he goes by Dr. Jeremiah. I called him and I called him like 3 or 4 days before all of this took place. And hindsight is 2020 because looking back, I should have filed for bankruptcy and I wouldn't have lost my house. But hindsight is always clear. But I'm no longer looking back that way. I'm moving forward. So Jeremiah picked me up. He brought his box truck over and put some of my things in the truck. 90% of the things that I owned and what my father owned were still in the home when I left. Um, Only because when he came over in his box truck, half of the truck was already filled with some other furniture. So I ended up having to walk away and leave everything behind pretty much. Yeah, that kind of saddens me, but it's okay. So Jeremiah picks me up. Jeremiah hates dogs, so he wasn't fond of the fact that my Jack Russell was with me. But anyway, to hell with it all, right? So he picked me up, and from the time he picked me up until the time I met Tasha, I was homeless. So I was homeless for about 2 hours. God is so good. I'm telling you, God is so good. I was homeless for 2 hours. I get to one of Jeremiah's homes, because he owns a number of homes. So I get to one of them. Well, we go to one of them, and he backs the truck up. I get out. My dog and I'm sitting in the, we let the garage up, so I'm sitting right there between the garage and the driveway with my dog on the leash, trying to figure out uh, where am I gonna go? What's my next move? I had no, I had nothing other than I was just, um, I had just made up my mind. Okay, once I decided I wasn't gonna kill myself, I was just like, okay, God, it is all out of my hands. I'm about to lose my home. I had already had an accident in my car. Guy ran the light, T-boned me, so got to go through court with that, well, litigation with the car. Because I had a concussion and whiplash, I could no longer work because I worked from home remotely as a freight broker, right? So you can't focus on TV, laptop, phone, or any lights. So I was knocked out of the box. Knocked out of the box. I'm supposed to, at this point, be, I'm homeless. I'm supposed to be under a bridge with my dog. That's where I was supposed to be. But God had a different plan. But like I said, I had made my mind up that I had asked people for help and, they told me no or didn't respond. Right. So I was like, okay, well, I'll say this. For those of you who I asked for help and you told me no, I still love you. And if you ever need help, I'm always here for you because that's the type of person that I am. Oh, I had to wear my other glasses because the other pair is cracking, but these feel funny. They seem to be going this way. But anyway, so I'm at Jeremiah's house with my dog. My dog is barking frantically because she knows, um, something isn't right. So I'm like, okay. I'm in the driveway. I'm on the phone with my stepmom, and her two grandsons have moved in with her. So that wasn't a possibility. My friend Baruti had offered his townhome, but he was kind of going back and forth. He was like, my girlfriend's here. My girlfriend just left. My girlfriend is back. We just broke up. And I was like, listen, I didn't say this to him, but I was thinking to myself, I don't have time for that. So let me just move on. And what I didn't want to do is to have someone offer me a place to stay, and I'd be like the guy in the Bible, and look at people and be like, no. Let me wait for the next car to come by. Nah, I'm gonna pass on that. No, so I didn't do that. So I was at Jeremiah's house for which seemed like eternity, but it was 2 hours. And he said he was leaving. He had to go drop off the gentleman who helped him move my things. So he left and he came back, right? So he came back and we were talking, and I needed to go pay my phone bill, right? So we were going to do that, but then this car pulled up, and there were two young ladies in the car, Lynetta and Tasha. So Jeremiah called me over to introduce me to Lynetta and Tasha, and he briefly explained my situation. Like, hey, somebody stole my house from me. I'm 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 homeless, and I needed a place to stay. Plus, I had a small dog. And sure enough, Tasha said yes. She told me she was in a two-bedroom apartment, and that her daughter was no longer living with her, and I can move in with her for however long I needed. And that is how I met Tasha. So I went home with her, and I took a deep breath and I swallowed, and I just said, okay, God, I'm rolling with whichever way you send my way. So that's how I met her. That's how I met Tasha. And I moved in with her the end of September. First week of October, I was back working. So whole month of October, I'm working. She started back working because her son was in the hospital. I believe he had a collapsed lung, so she had taken some time off. But eventually, it was a blessing because I was getting up, going to work, and I was coming back to her apartment, and she was going to work, and it was a beautiful thing. So for the whole month of October, I'm just going back to work. I'm trying to figure out my next move, and Tasha's going to work. And November 7th, Tasha just wasn't feeling well. She'd come home from work, I think a couple of days early. She was coughing, and she just wasn't her normal self. So she went to bed, and she had this thing where she always wanted her apartment to be cold. So she had a wall unit plus central air and heat in the apartment. So imagine AC going two ways, right? So she was in her room. She just knocked out, just seemed to be sleeping for 24 to 48 hours. So Saturday came, I went to work, I came back, Sunday came, I get up and I cook breakfast, I watch the Texans, I doze off, and I wake up and I notice she still hasn't come out of her bedroom. And so I knocked on the door and I was like, hey, ma'am, what are you doing? She knows, she'll tell you, I always knock on her door. And I'm like, hey, man, what are we doing? You got to find something else to do other than sleep. So she told me she wasn't feeling well, right? So I said, okay. I said, all right, I'll check on you a little bit later. And I I think I gave her maybe another hour or two. And then I heard her coughing really, really bad. I mean, she was just, it sounded like she was going to cough up a lung. So I knocked on her door and I was like, excuse me, ma'am, what's going on? I said, what's up with all this coughing? And I said, do you need some water? And she told me, she said that she had something to drink, that she was drinking her water, but, it was making her throw up. And just something in me told me not to give her another opportunity to go to sleep. So it was God. So I said, I tell you what, ma'am. I said, you get up, you get dressed, you get your phone, you put people on speaker because I want to hear all the people that you're going to call, right? I said, everybody that you call, you put them on speaker. I want to hear them. And she called, she called her friends, she called people, she thought was in her corner, and everybody told her no. It reminded me of when I was calling people to ask people for help. And listen, people telling you no, it's okay. It's okay. It's nobody's passing judgment on those who said no. But it's important to know who said no. So everybody she called told her no, that they couldn't give her a ride. She even called this one girl, and she told her that she was celebrating her son's birthday. And I said, wow, that's funny, because when I moved into Tasha's house the end of September, we went to that same girl's house to wish her son a happy birthday. But, not passing judgment. This is exactly what happened. And all the guys that she had been cool with, she called them. They all said no. They said, call me tomorrow. So I said, okay, go ahead and get yourself together. I'm going to put you in an Uber. So I got dressed. She got dressed. And she lived at the back of these apartment complex. She doesn't live there anymore. But the place where she lived, she was, excuse me, always she's all the way at the back. So it was like a 5 to 7 minute walk from her apartment to uh, the front of the office. And she could barely walk. She could barely walk. So I told her, I said, I'm just going to go ahead and walk ahead of you. That way I could catch, the Uber, because we don't want to lose him, so you can get to the hospital. And that is what happened. And I put her in the Uber November 7th. It was about 6 o'clock. I walked back to the apartment. I'm watching her on my phone. She gets to the hospital. She gets checked in, and we talk. That's a Sunday night. We talk Monday. We talk Tuesday. And on Wednesday, she was in a medically induced coma. They said she had walking pneumonia and she had the flu. And this was November 7th. So from November 7th to December 7th, she's still in a coma. It's not looking well. The doctors are like, hey, you may want to consider um, pulling the plug. And, God is just good. God is just good, because, like I said, I put her in the Uber November 7th, December 7th. They were talking about possibly pulling the plug, sending her on somewhere else. And December rolled around and it left. And then here comes January 22nd, 23rd, 24th. 24th, I talked to Tasha on the phone for the first time since the 10th or 9th of November. So she has a long road ahead of her, but God is so good. And she called me. She didn't call me. She recorded a message. Her daughter recorded her. And she wanted to thank me for putting her in the Uber, saying that I saved her life. And it was God.
because she saved my life. She saved my life when she gave me a place to stay. So we know we have to pay it forward. We have to help one another when we can. And for those of you who are not willing to help, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. Like I said, it's people like me and Tasha who make the world go round because we help people regardless of our situation. We just help. So that is how Tasha and I met. All right. Thank you for tuning in. This is PC from Paula's Purse, where the bag is always filled with topics to discuss. God bless you all. Peace.